50 members of the group were escorted from the tribal park. They had electronic equipment that filming for whatever they were doing, and the numbers started to grow. New members started coming in from outside of the state. Again, you don't know anything, and you clearly didn't even pay attention to the videos because they came from way outside the state, and in fact, outside of other countries. All over the world. Navajo Parks and Recreation had no official number of how many members of the group arrived, but Jeannie said the group wanted to take their RVs and visit sacred sites. We were like, now keep in mind, this is the person that conducts themselves for the media on behalf of the tribal parks. We were like, you can't just trample the parks. So clearly this person hasn't had a whole lot of media training because I don't know about those words, but you just can't trample the parks. But let me just show you something here. So I'm going to share my screen, if you'll allow.
So it looks like we're live. So we have an interesting topic to discuss, but first I want to just welcome all of you and welcome the group behind me of incredible people that have made this trek. And I'm going to be speaking directly to the council today and to those that are speaking on behalf of the council as recorded in a San Juan Record article, because the amount of misinformation and bold-faced lies by the authorities in that area, by the Navajo police. Now, let's keep in mind, I just need to remind you that there is a struggle in these tribes between the people and their own people that are working on behalf of the federal government. They might work under the guise of a council, a tribal council, but the reality is that they are harming their own people. And this is not just a struggle within the Navajo, but a struggle within all of the tribes that are within this country. And what they have become, if you want to understand the equivalence of what they have become scripturally, Seau sold his birthright for a meal. And that's essentially what they've done. They've sold their birthright for a casino. They've sold their birthright for a badge. And they work on behalf of the Luciferian regime. And it's ironic that they call us Gnostic Luciferians. Let me just help you address that comment for a second. Gnostic Luciferian is like saying a Christian Satanist. It doesn't make sense. It's clear they have no idea what they're speaking about. The other irony is that all of the worship of serpent gods within the tribe, such as the Hopi, who have also been a tribe that their councils and their leaders have badmouthed us to those and also lied to them about things that we have done and said. So this is permeating across these councils because it threatens their power, because the people within those territories understand this struggle. And those people have a difficult time speaking because of the threats that those councils hold against the people. So I'm going to address this article piece by piece through this. And so you're going to get to read and hear. I'm going to read this article to you. And so you'll understand exactly what is going on. First, I just want you to see everybody behind you. And these are people that witnessed cried with them, and we had communion with them, and we spoke. And welcomes the group behind me of incredible people that have made this trek. And I'm going to be speaking directly to the council today and to those that are speaking on behalf of the council as recorded in a San Juan Record article. Because the amount of misinformation and bold-faced lies by the authorities in that area, by the Navajo police. Now, let's keep in mind, I just need to remind you that there is a struggle within these tribes between the people and their own people that are working on behalf of the federal government. They might work under the guise of a council, a tribal council, but the reality is that they are harming their own people. And this is not just a struggle within the Navajo, but a struggle within all of the tribes that are within this country and what they have become. If you want to understand the equivalence of what they have become scripturally, Seau sold his birthright for a meal. And that's essentially what they've done. They've sold their birthright for a casino. They've sold their birthright for a badge. And they work on behalf of the Luciferian regime. And it's ironic that they call us Gnostic Luciferians. Let me just help you address that comment for a second. Gnostic Luciferian is like saying a Christian Satanist. It doesn't make sense. It's clear they have no idea what they're speaking about. The other irony is that all of the worship of serpent gods within the tribe, such as the Hopi, who have also been a tribe that their councils and their leaders have badmouthed us.
Anytime you pour out a religion, they're going to call you a cult, because a cult ain't nothing but your culture.
So this is
a cult ain't nothing but your culture.
Because it threatens their power.
So whatever you believe in, evil, devil, whatever you believe in, they're going to be able to call you a cult.
And those people
and cultivate your ass about it.
Speaking because of the threats that those councils hold against the people. So I'm going to address this article piece by piece through this. And so you're going to get to read and hear. I'm going to read this article to you and exactly what is going on. First, I just want you to see everybody behind you. And these are people that witnessed what took place up there. I'm going to be addressing first and foremost, before we get to anything else, that within this article, they are basically covering their collective hide, because the people understand that if they can come in and remove people, peaceful people, off of private property of a native of that land, of private property, that they can remove them and they can force them to not support that family, that they can do that to anybody in that land. And the reality is they do it all the time. So they threaten them to not speak to you. So they're not allowed to tell their story, or they'll have their land bulldozed, or they'll have permits put against them or taken from them, and they'll make their lives a living hell. These warnings took place to the families that invited us. So let's keep in mind, when anyone states that we came there without authorization, we were invited and welcomed by the owners of the property within Monument Valley. The owners, the people that own the property, invited us. And we asked, what else do we need to do? They said nothing. Nothing, because it's their property. But see, the park says we oversee their property because they monetize the property of others. This is all about the beast system. This is everything that I've been speaking of about that beast system and who runs the show. Let's keep in mind that they now work for the God of this world, the enemy. And also keep in mind that they have been convinced, because the irony, as I was speaking of earlier, the irony of them calling us Luciferians, or more importantly, this article, the headline of the article says Monument Valley Tribal Park closes for a day, and it was 2 days, due to occult activity. So even in the headline, you have misinformation that it was only a day. So everything's trying to minimize the actions. That tells me everything that I need to know, that there is trouble brewing for them amongst their own people, or they wouldn't be working so hard to cover their collective hides. So occult activity is worship essentially of Satan or the serpent. And I don't know if you know anything about these tribal worshipers, but the Hopi worship gods of serpents. The Navajo have gods of serpents. So who is it that's worshiping serpents here and calling the kettle black? So I wanted to read to you this article. So it says, members of a YouTube group called Global Witness attempted to gain entrance into the Monument Valley Tribal Park on November 29th. Keep in mind, it said attempted to gain entrance right there. Prior to permitting and were denied access. Park officials closed the park to the general public and to an estimated 50 members of the YouTube group were peacefully escorted off the property by Navajo Police Department. Okay, so we were denied entrance, but yet we were peacefully escorted off the property. Just saying. None of the members were arrested by law enforcement, according to the Navajo Nation Police Department, because nobody did anything wrong. Otherwise, I could promise you they would have arrested people. According to the Navajo Nation chapter president, James Arakai, James, or should I call you Seau, 50 members of the group were escorted off the property initially, where the group then again tried to gain access to the park and became aggressive. So, Mr. Seau, you've sold your soul and your birthright of your own people for a beer at a casino. You should turn in your badge. Absolute bold-faced lie. So I'm going to say to you, Mr. Arakai Seau, show us the video, because I know every single one of your officers were recording every single thing. So show us the violence. Show us the rioting that you've spoken about. Show us. If you don't show us, we have a whole group here right now that thinks that defamation of character is a real deal. And if you want to abide by the beast system, we'll bring the beast system to you and we'll file a collective lawsuit against you for defamation of character. So you retract your lies, or we're coming legally. As the group numbers began to exponentially grow around 12 p.m. on November 29th, Seau and the Navajo Nation released a memorandum to local law enforcement agencies, including San Juan County Sheriff's Office, the Navajo County, Arizona Sheriff's Office, and the Navajo Nation Division of Public Safety on November 29th. The subject of the memorandum was titled Law Enforcement Assistance on Eviction Notice. Keep in mind, this is after, apparently, according to even their own words, that number one, we were already removed from the property peacefully, apparently. But now we need to be evicted. Evicted from what? Evicted from private property of another Navajo person who owns their own property, and it is not on the tribal park and not under the jurisdiction of the tribal park services. So your own words testify against you, and your own lies convict you. I don't have to say anything. All I'm doing is clarifying your own lying statements. The subject of the memorandum was titled Law Enforcement Assistant Eviction Notice. The memorandum read, due to the high level of potential threat to the health and safety of the public in the community of Ojito, chapter of the encompassed Navajo Tribal Park in Utah and Arizona. The Ojito chapter seeks the assistance of local law enforcement agencies to evict by peacefully escorting the growing members of the unknown cult group, again, another accusation you better withdraw, called Global Witness, from the vicinity of the Monument Tribal Park outside the boundaries of the Oyato and the Navajo Nation lands. Further, we are very concerned of this type of escalating movement or riot. We rioted. Sure we did. Again, something else you better retract. And we do still love you. Turn away. Turn away. Repent from your sin. That's what we're stating. And may potentially cause unrest and disorder and disharmony, or may even cause violence or harm to the community. The only violence and harm to the community that would be caused would be by you, who brought lethal force against a non-lethal force community of love on private property that was paid for and invited by the owner, who happens to be the medicine man property, and his daughter, who is now the medicine woman of the Navajo community. Okay? The San Juan County Sheriff's Office responded to the request for help by the Navajo Nation, but said that most of the response needed was on the Arizona side of the park, and that deputies responded to one incident on the Utah side of the park. There was nothing on the Utah side of the park, ever. The entire group maintained themselves always on the Arizona side. Department of Parks and Recreation media consultant Louise, I can't pronounce your name, Louise, but I'm going to spell it Tsinijinnie. Shame on you. Said the park was closed due to occult activity down in the valley. Remember, folks, occult activity down in the valley. If there was occult activity down in the valley, it was your occult activity because we weren't in the valley, as the article even says. They were wanting to bring over the allotted people allowed down the valley, and Navajo Parks and Recreation didn't want that many people in the valley due to all the damage it may cause. Again, the name I can't pronounce. I'll just say the genie. At the Navajo Tribal Park, we are here to preserve and protect our Navajo tribal parks. So in a sense, that's what we did. If you had any confidence in what you did, it wouldn't be in a sense, it would be, and that's what we did. But see, you doubt your own words. That's what happens to liars. That's what happens when people are making up stuff. They have to actually defend their own actions, and then they have to defend their lie one after the other. This is the entire beast system that we live in. Only lies need defense. Truth doesn't need defense. The RV park reopened to visitors on November 30th, with all of the Global Witness group gone except for one RV, which the group will retrieve at a later date, according to the Navajo Nation Police Department. I don't know of anybody that left an RV. Maybe you planted that there. According to all of your lies, I would suspect just about anything. According to the lies that we heard from the residents that you had told about us, that we had RVs filled with arms. Again, more lies, more defamation of character of a whole lot of beautiful people here.
Right.
Yes. On their YouTube channel, the group described this event as Witness in the Desert, a YouTube event unlike any other in history. Clearly, you're helping us fulfill that prophecy. Multiple channel hosts, including Leak Project, Jeffrey Doherty, Oppenheimer Ranch Project, are just some of the that represent the almost 2 million subscribers that will participate in the live event broadcast live from multiple locations. Now, members of the YouTube group first arrived on November 28th to prepare for a broadcast, and more members of the group began to arrive from around the country, according to Sayao. It happened pretty quickly, as we had to make a decision, especially from the Oyato leadership. Sayao said the situation started escalating. There was no escalation of anything. We were told we were not allowed in the park, and we never attempted to enter the park again. We simply attempted to communicate with those authorities because the statements that they had made to the people that owned the property that prevented us from coming into the park was that we were a violent group that had weapons in our RV, and quote from her that if she doesn't get out, that there will be shooting. Well, nobody was armed with us, so the shooting was anticipated by them. And clearly they intended to execute on that, since they showed up with 25 vehicles with 50 SWAT team members fully armed with automatic weapons. So, where's the violence coming from? Sayao, the true Luciferians. The unknown group of Global Witness organization then came in without any proper authorization, again, authorized by the family that owns the property and has been on it since 510 recorded AD. AD, folks. That's a long time. The organization came in without proper authorization, as I just addressed, and conducting unpermitted activities. What are unpermitted activities? What unpermitted activities? Without the knowledge and authorization of the tribal park and Oyato chapter. So, the authorization of the tribal park, forget about the owners. That states the truth of what we're speaking. They do not care about the natives that actually own the property. It's about the tribal park and the revenue that they generate as a result of it. This is not a struggle just within the Navajo people. It is a struggle within all the tribal people around this country. The U.S. government has done this. They continuously and throughout history go into a war zone or go into a place and enlist their own people and empower them, which is called the Luciferian experiment. You know what experiment? Do you know what the Luciferian experiment does? Basically, it has a statement that says, power corrupts absolutely. Absolutely means completely. Sayao, that's you. So, Sayao said that he and the Ollanta leadership issued the memorandum once the group started to pose a serious threat to the well-being of the community. The only serious threat that we posed was that the family that had leased us the land and invited us to the land, both in the park and then the other family outside of the park on private property, were getting assistance from people outside. And they were making money because we came in to assist them. They were making money and the tribal park services wasn't. The group started to protest and to riot. Again, defamation of character, complete lies, and if you don't retract, we're coming legally. Copy that? To protest and riot against the tribal park and against the tribal government, aka the United States government. Sayao said after 50 members of the group were escorted from the tribal park, they had electronic equipment that filming for whatever they were doing, and the numbers started to grow. New members started coming in from outside of the state. Again, you don't know anything, and you clearly didn't even pay attention to the videos because they came from way outside the state, and in fact, outside of other countries. All over the world. Navajo Parks and Recreation had no official number of how many members of the group arrived, but Jeannie said the group wanted to take their RVs and visit sacred sites. We were like, now keep in mind, this is the person that conducts themselves for the media on behalf of the tribal parks. We were like, you can't just trample the parks. So clearly this person hasn't had a whole lot of media training because I don't know about those words, but you just can't trample the parks. But let me just show you something here. So I'm going to share my screen, if you'll allow me. And I'm going to show you about how concerned they are about trampling the park. So here's a Google Earth picture of the site that we were attending. This picture was taken quite some time ago. In fact, it looks like it was about 2.5 years ago, where apparently tribal park personnel had no problem renting and being paid to put many RVs in the very same site. You can't just trample your own park unless, of course, you're being paid for it. Because just like Sayao, he sold his birthright for a bowl of soup and something to drink. And that's exactly what you do day by day, hour by hour, decision by decision. It's your soul that bears this, and your people know it. And this isn't my battle. This is your people's battle. I'm just letting them know that we love them and support them. It says, we were like, you can't trample the parks as they trample their own park. They wanted to visit sacred sites, sacred to us anyway. So I can tell you what was sacred to us, Dorothy's land. That was sacred to us. You didn't care about trampling on her sacred land that she lives on. You don't care about trampling on her sacred land or her sacred rights. And we didn't want them to go into these places. So as a travel entity, I don't necessarily know what you mean by travel entity, but if you mean entity as in Satan himself, well then, yeah, I'll give you that. You're a traveling entity. And of course, the traditional people that protect the revenue stream and take it from those owners of the property that you oppress on a daily basis. We don't allow that. We don't allow those owners to make money. We make the money. So we had them escorted out. Again, stating that we were escorted out, but we were never allowed on the tribal land and never entered the tribal land the tribal property in the first place. So this is also a lesson for all of you to understand just how the media buys and trusts the, quote, authorities' word. Every article you read, every single news story you see where the authorities have spoken is filled with the same bold-faced lies in order to continue the narrative that they have and the oppression of all of these people and the illusion that you actually have something to do with it. Because they'll march people in front that say, oh, I'm an American and I love this country, when they really just work on behalf of the federal government. Let's keep in mind, everybody, that it says we don't battle against flesh and blood, but against the authorities and against principalities, ones that serve a prince. You folks are the ones that serve the prince, Lucifer, not this group. We serve the Father, the creator of all, which those family members that we met with understood, and we wept with them, and we cried with them, and we had communion with them, and we spoke about the Creator and the Father and the Great Spirit, and they felt that we were of that. Invited this innocent man that died, and his daughter also understood that we were coming, and his daughter said he wanted you here for this very reason. And that's what we're witnessing. So then once again, they escorted them out of the tribal park, and then it became a Navajo Nation incident. So then they put it back on the nation to be responsible for the corrupt actions of the feds and that park service. So then the Navajo Nation responsibilities then kicked in. I don't know what responsibilities it was, but to send in officers with SWAT teams to make sure that nobody was there. And by the way, when those officers came in and there was nobody there except the owners of the property, they patted down at gunpoint the owners of the property, the Navajo natives that own the property, private property. There is no respect for anything sacred, not including the property of the people that actually own that. So the Navajo Nation tribal police have sold their birthright on behalf of their people. And those people, I promise you, are coming to you to take it back. Not us, them. So I wanted to allow you guys to, let me close some of these windows here, because I want to allow some folks here to speak. And I haven't gone to them and asked them to rehearse lines. I haven't asked them to say anything specific. They're going to speak from their heart about what they witnessed. So anybody has anything to say about what they witnessed or experienced up there, come on up. Have a seat, Duncan. So Duncan's his name, so just give your name, where you're from.
Duncan Arnold, I'm from Devon.
Come in very close if you can, just to make sure that so yeah. Duncan from the UK.
Yeah, Devon.
Terrific. So why don't you give us a little bit of what you experienced, what you felt, what you saw, and whether anything, and you can also just, say of what you think of what they said, if there's any truth to it. If you think there's truth to it, then certainly speak that.
Yeah. What I'd like to say is a true witness. I was there, been there since Monday, of what happened in the desert. And also a true vision of what's being shown outside, because I've got family and friends in the UK, who are worried about me because of the lies that have been expressed. And all I can tell everybody out there who's watching this is that I came here on my own, and all I felt was warmth, friendship, companionship, love, and energy. And the moment I walked in, and the warmth part is a hard thing to explain, but I walked in, I met people I've never met before. We shook hands because I'm not really a cuddly person. And then you get past that part, people come in and cuddle you. And there's this little thing that it starts from deep within you, and it sort of grows. We've talked about ripple effect in the past, but it grew in me every day, every moment, every hour. And then, I became one of them people because I was one of the first to come, and met these other people coming. We shook hands, people smiled, People looked at each other. I became a hugger. Yeah. And with everything that happened, all the consequences that were going on in the camp, we were sort of a little bit unaware. I was unaware. You could see cracking nights going on. Still sharing some time around the site. He tried to shine a light on me when I was having a moment on myself. Sorry, but I had to go. But the warmth that was there, and it spread for everybody. And, you know, they threw consequence and consequence. What they didn't realise was the more they threw at her, the more they sort of light away everyone. And we had, I don't know, they've underestimated how many people were there, but every other person was helping every other person pack away their tents when we were given that deadline. I, at that point, was a bit unsure what was going to happen, where I was going to go. But people helped me, got lifts to here, where we are now. And the other thing I'd like to say is the friendship and the love that I saw. And I thought about this when you were talking there and how to put this into words. And the way I would express it is if you're, imagine being born with your brother and sister and someone divided you at birth. And then you went somewhere and then suddenly you came someone, you saw someone and you realised it's your brother and sister. And you didn't have to say a word, you didn't have to speak, you just looked at each other, you felt connection. And we're all back together, and that's what it's felt like. It's one big happy family, you know? We have some silly laws in the UK, but we have one, and it's you're innocent and proven guilty. And I'm afraid if any of you would have walked onto that campsite and spoke to anybody who was there, you wouldn't have been saying the things you said or portrayed the way things were. Okay. Thank you, John. What's your name? Where are you from?
Lorraine, and currently residing in Arizona. Was so excited to come to the Monument Valley to be a part of this great awakening. And the experience was amazing from the people, from the property owners that we interacted with. So loving and so beautiful, and so we were all so hopeful to experience this great joy that we felt from them. And we were there to support and help and brought hay for horses. And, you know, we were there to be a force of good. And to my interaction with the people that I interacted with, the Navajo people, was nothing but absolute love and connection. There was such a deep connection with those people and with the land. Awesome space. To be able to see the monuments and touch them and feel the earth. And then to have this wild sort of experience of, it felt like being ripped away from something prematurely. And I know that there's a purpose for this. This is absolutely divinely guided. But to be told that we are something, to be propagandized in the way that we have been, it's just another layer of the evil eruption being exposed. And I am proud to be part of this exposure. I am so proud to be here and to have carried. Farmer, thank you for drawing, for making this opening space, and thank the property owners for allowing us to come and to expose this temple on the dragon.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. We love having you here. On and close here so you can get on camera properly. Scoot over. So this is Naomi. Naomi, where are you from?
I come from by way of California for right now.
Okay, so Naomi was a person that was on the radio that communicated with the Navajo police, and she was the go-between for the conversations. So she was very intimately involved, understanding the posture of what was taking place, the attitudes of those people. So Naomi, just go ahead and tell us what your experience has been thus far.
Well, my experience so far, I think there was a very, very serious misunderstanding that was received by the law enforcement at multiple levels, that were part of the community and outside of the community. There was specifically a lieutenant there who was very supportive and helpful.
That's Lieutenant Kim.
Lieutenant Kim.
Lieutenant Kim, we know your heart.
Thank you, Lieutenant Kim, for your love and your support. And I'm so sorry that things unfolded the way that they did, because it was certainly unfolding in a manner that was taking us by complete surprise. We did not in any way expect that type of treatment. And apparently the law enforcement holding fast to some very serious, very deep misunderstandings that were sent their way. And I just say to you, law enforcement officers at the multiple levels that I spoke with, and I really truly believe that you in your own hearts know what we represented and what we were there for, because when it was very clearly identified that we were there in love and only love, it seemed to be that the reception I received from all of you was a recognition of that. And I ask you, as law enforcement of your community, that you look very closely to your heart, and that you not only have the utmost responsibility of overseeing the land, but overseeing your people, and that you stay connected to not only the land, but to your own people. Love you, and we know you are doing your job, but please, please remember that we are all creators, children, that we are all part of the same family.
Let me just say this. I want to say that we understand doing your job, but when your job requires you to violate the rights of people, it isn't acceptable. I don't care what happens. There is no excuse when it comes time judgment, and you're judging yourself, and trust me, you will. When that judgment time comes, I'm responding to, hey, I was just doing my job. Isn't gonna cut it.
Right. That's right. And especially when I know I was witness to the very serious difficulty that was being imposed upon Dorothy. I was witness to it at the same time that I was speaking with you. You called for Dorothy to attend and to address her in I feel a most unnecessary manner. That woman is truly, truly a magnificent representation of your people. And she is filled with nothing but love. She received us in love. She gave love. In a most trying, difficult time, at the loss of her father, she was preparing for the burial of her father, for the release of his own body. She was struggling with at the time all this was coming about, and I'm so sorry that she was put through the incredible ugliness and harshness of threats, of loss of her property. And really, that was extraordinarily shameful. Extraordinarily, shame on you. Extraordinarily shameful that you did this to your sister.
Thank you. Come on in, I'll let you come on in here closer, DR. Snuggle up.
Yeah, look at me close to Derek. Hello. How are you out there, world? Okay, first
Name where you're from.
I'm JR from Georgia. Let me tell you something. I'm also from Father, and he showed me something a minute ago. Buddy, you know who I'm talking to. Everybody in here knows I read energy, and I read yours. And sir, you got a lot to pay for. Those people that loved us enough to allow us to come onto your property had to come to us, asking us for charity, because you wouldn't release the one thing they really wanted, a human body, to bury their loved one. They stood before us humbly, crying in their hearts for somebody to show them love. And you showed them whatever you thought was love. Love for self, love for money, love for power, love for self. And let's face it, every time you go to self, you separate from Father. Where your energy is, I feel it, and you're scared of it. You know what you've done. I see you. You can't hide. You can't run. And I promise you, sir. Oh, and I love you.
Oh, JR there.
You see, I'm not telling anybody what to say. They're speaking from their hearts, and I don't judge what anybody says because I respect them. Now, many people think that the Navajo Nation and these people are a sovereign nation separated from the government. I can tell you right now that that is yet just another illusion, because when they put people that are empowered by the federal government and they simply wear the skin of a Navajo, because that is all you have at that stage, is the skin of a Navajo, because the Navajo has left your soul and your soul is dead. In fact, it's twice dead. Yeah. So anybody else have anything to say? Gordon, why don't you come up here?
Sassafras. Hello, Angels.
Name, where are you from?
My name's Gordon McWhorter. I'm from Parowan, Utah, the migratory completion of Hopi contract, Mother Earth. We realized that you guys have survived 4 epic cataclysms. And we sought after an answer to these questions we have, these ancient stories. And we sought after your people, and what an irony it was to feel what you guys felt when the land was taken from you. Such an irony and so much love, angels. Every one of us, and brothers and sisters, when we come to you with nothing in our hearts but joy and celebration. This is the last one. You don't get to survive. No one gets to survive. The earth will be changed into a star. And everybody gets to go home.
Sounds like a plan. So tell me very quickly things that you had heard that the Hopi had said about us and us people and things, because, and I'm talking not about the Hopi people themselves. Remember that when we're talking about disparaging acts, disparaging comments, harmful acts, things that were executed, it's always going to be executed by those that say that they have the authorities or these councils that are in. Now, without question, the Hopi people have separated themselves from the federal government more than any tribe in this country. More than any of the people in this country, they have separated themselves. There's no casinos on their land, and they didn't even want power on their land. For the most part, they don't have any high-powered 5G or even 4G anywhere there. So those people have actually held up, but that doesn't mean that there aren't some corrupt folks in there. So for these people from the Hopi to say that they don't like the Navajo, but yet they have an issue because we're there to discover what they believe is sacred only to them. But I've got news for everybody. If you look at your prophecies, even our prophecies, the Christian churches, all of the religions of the world have misinterpreted their prophecies. And there is no difference in you either, because your prophecy calls for you sharing these mysteries. Your prophecy calls for you sharing your land with those that discover these mysteries. And you are failing your own prophecies. I don't know where you have dropped off from the audible words that you've spoken throughout the ages, right? Your oral traditions have somehow been lost, because you can ask a Hopi, that say that they know, and you can get it 9 different variations of what they think it is. But every single one of them that they don't like the Navajo because the Navajo is messed up. Although we have these different tribal people that seem to disagree with each other, they came in and disparaged the groups that work with the government, disparaged us to the Navajo as well of things that never happened.
I can witness to rescue Rick and Jeanette because Lee, who is the great grandson of the Hopi prophecy, this is First and Second Mesa. Second Mesa Lee, I love you to death, brother. But you told me lies on the phone. You told me that they were being rude and unruly to tribal members. You told us that they were going on land and in caves with drones and spelunking gear. You told us that Rick and Jeanette were basically demons inside your land. And I showed up and found angels who had helped your people fix roofs, cut wood, haul water, and kittens in the desert.
And clean up the insurmountable amount of trash that resides there.
Yes.
There is trash everywhere. So when somebody asks you to respect their land, and you come to that land and it is littered with garbage, do you respect your land? Don't make accusations about us that respect your land more than you. And your prophecy even states this. All the prophecies through Scripture state this. When you lack the respect of your land, you don't get to point your finger at the people that aren't even native to your land that respect it more than you. Pick up the trash or allow us to come in and clean it up on your behalf. Anyone else?
Two simple things.
Name where you're from.
Jeanette Rogers. I'm from, Jeanette Gadea, really divorced. Hi. Two things, very simple. Things that stand out the most to me. I'll start with the Navajo thing. First of all, I wanted to say hello to Thomas and beautiful from Holiday family. It's awesome. Grandmother, we heard so much about buried right in that property around the corner from where they kicked us off of this boat. It's not up to her. Her grandmother's buried under the tree that she was born under. And they're saying that's not their property. That's not what personally was tragic to me. Because when we first got there, we had 5 horses. Integrity in that Holiday family is beyond anything. I love you guys. Thank you for everything that you shared with us and accepting what we shared and give back. These people would not want to starve their horses, but they are very limited in what they can have and what they can actually do with. And there was 7 horses that they can actually feed, and the other 5 were put out. But unfortunately, into their land, which they're only allowed to sort of call their own. Those 5 horses that we met, that you saw ride one of them, they were around the previously empty until we got there. The minute we gave them money, they went and got hay for their sheep and for their horses, the ones that they had in range. But the other horses still had to go. Tragic as it was to them, they had to think of what they needed to have money to actually function within their own freaking land. The 5 horses stood around that little tiny shed all day. In the morning, in the afternoon, towards the sundown, I couldn't take it anymore. And Cowboy Dave Difference, came with his son Matthew, and they had 12 bags of freaking hay, those cube hays. And me and Rick Harris went up to them and I said, I'm sorry, I gotta feed them. I'm sure they won't mind. Nobody's gonna mind. I gotta feed these horses. And when I went in there and we just barely opened the door. There was a little bit of hay, and I saw 3 of those 5 horses that are starving, kicking each other for the scraps on the floor. How do you think that family full of integrity has to deal with that daily? That's your sister. You help her. You go take her hay. Because those horses don't deserve that, and neither does that family have to make that decision because you don't give them enough income guys, and I'm so grateful for every single one of you that I met there. Bradford Senior, your entire family, I miss you so much. And Larry, Darren, I love you guys. Robert, I miss you guys so much. And thank you for the time that I spent there. I want to tell you one thing, that a very nice gentleman that I only met once, who got a hold of me, and Rick Harris later, because he's like, I went there, you guys were gone. I was worried about you. Where are you guys at? You were supposed to come over. Like, I miss you. I met this man for an hour and a half, and he told us, the two of us, some of the best people he'd ever met. He invited us. We're supposed to, before we leave in Arizona, we're supposed to come back to get more cornmeal so that we can remember to have our prayers. You know how this is so important to him? Because he was part of the U.S. military. And he went and he told me, when I explained to him that we were kicked out for religious beliefs, they didn't put that on the paper. But I stood there, and Lee Wayne and Leon from Water and Sewage stood there and kept telling me because of your religious beliefs. I told him, you've never spoken about my religious beliefs. But back to the point, I told this gentleman about it. I've only met him for an hour and a half, and he texted me like a month and a half ago, so I apologize for not remembering your name. He said, how dare they do that? I fought. I went to war. This is an older gentleman. For the right to have my religious beliefs. And he said, that is the most unholy thing ever. That is not of Hopi. I went and fought with the U.S. military to make sure I had my religious beliefs. And for them to decide, not even to be so, I don't even know what to call it, to not even put it on the paper, but to state it to my face 3 times, surrounded by sheriffs, which, by the way, best sheriff's department I've ever met. Your leader, I have to thank you. And I thanked you then, as rude as you were. Because 24 hours before, the same sheriff's crew, the same Hopi police that had been making sure that this girl who'd been there for 2.5 months in a tent off the freeway, they came and checked on me. These sheriffs came and hugged me. These Hopi police came and hugged me. They were on one-name basis with me. They go in the middle of the night, flash, they're like, Jeanette, you good? I'm like, yes, sir, thank you. The next day, so what's going on, girl? Everybody over there on the vendor side, like, they got into, oh no, these same men came there 24 hours beforehand because they heard shots. Nothing bad. It was a kid shooting birds because they get $5 or $10 depending on how big the bird is, and that's how they make money. And good for that kid. He's 14, feeding his family. Sorry, never mind. Point is, he lost his BB gun and he only had, never mind. They came in that 24 hours before and wanted to come into the house that we had fixed. I got flooded out and I had just been in there for 4 days. Rick Harris did it up. It was beautiful. And they wanted to make sure to go in there and check it out because this place has been empty for 14 years. There was black mold. There was no windows. There was no doors. There was Satan's graffiti on the wall, which I hope was a kid screwing around, you know? We cleaned it all up in 4 days, and I moved it, and people were coming in just to check it out because it was like, oh, Jeanette, this looks cool. Oh, my God, this looks really awesome. Oh, they're going to let you in. Nobody's here. You're awesome. They'll let you in. Officers, one of them, Darren, came in and said, God, I've always wanted to be in here. This looks great. And I said, you know, for a second there, I thought you were here to evict me. And he looked at me with shock on his face and said, evict you. We're here to serve and protect you. We would never evict you. And those same officers that have been protecting and serving, and I went up to them and said, I'm from Cali, okay? I'm in California. I'm sorry, police officers over there. They came up. I told them, you are the best police force I've ever seen. Thank you for doing that, protecting and serving. Those same officers had their heads down, had their hands crossed, and were looking down and didn't want to look at me because 24 hours later, they were there to evict me because not the 98.9% of the amazing people that I met. I got too many names here. I'm going to start crying. I'm not going to say, I love you guys. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. 2 men. The rest of them, incredible people. Thank you for having me on your land.
So before I bring someone else up, I just want to state that exactly what we're talking about here is that somebody was removed for religious beliefs. So if that's the truth, then those people have a problem with Christ. And if they have a problem with Christ, then make a note of that on your next journey into Arizona. Name, where are you from?
My name is Michelle, and I'm from Indiana.
Michelle from Indiana. Tell us about your experience.
I've had the best experience that I've ever had. I am a daughter of the Father.
No, you're okay. Yeah, no, you're here. That was the live. There's a little bit of a delay.
And I faced a great struggle to come here because my heart was called by my father. And so I went with my heart call. And when I arrived on the land, I had never experienced such joy and acceptance for just being the very person that I am. And it was quite wonderful. And our day, that day was planned out and planned for the evening, and then it changed. And I had an opportunity to meet Dorothy and listen to Dorothy's story. And there was so much love, and we were so excited. And then I didn't really know what was happening or going on, but we were asked to leave. So then we just all started moving and packed up tents, and we left and went to go find each other at another spot. So I never witnessed any kind of violent behavior. There was no one on the property that was like, oh, they can't kick us off. If they did not want us there, we left.
Yes, well, Dorothy, the owner, just so everybody knows, Dorothy, the owner of the property, every single time they told us that we needed to get off, in fact, when they were finally saying you need to go and you got 3 hours to leave, Dorothy and her group there was telling us, don't let them intimidate you. They do this crap to us all the time. Don't go. The family did not want us to go. So anybody out there that has any misunderstanding about somebody refusing to go, it was the Navajo owner, the lady that owned the property, that was begging us to stay.
The problem I do have is that my children heard that I was shot at. They have been concerned about my life. And you have put my family in fear and terror. And that I do not appreciate. So I will stand. I will stand that it happened the way it happened. And what you are hearing on the outside is lies. I did not know that this is what I come to witness, but this is what's happening here in our country, in America, that we are told all these lies and we believe what we hear. But until you are there and you have your own experience, you cannot have the truth. So I call for my brothers and sisters across this entire earth. Wake up, sleeping brothers. Wake up, sleeping sisters.
Wake up. Yeah. Wake up.
It's really important for me to be able to bring these people to you so you can hear. Like I've said, have I, just to clarify, have I told anybody what to say? Would I ever tell you what to say?
You ain't got that power.
Exactly.
Wouldn't take advantage of it. Okay, I'm going through my experience when they asked us to be up. But we had with the earlier in the day, and cheesy likes to gave one of his hats. And I'm like, yes, with $10,000 on the internet. And she was beautiful. She loved to sleep in her home, cried together. She told me the story about who wanted us there. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm scared to death because only because I know now what I'm witnessing and why I was there. But I
I went with this very small group with Rex and two of Dorothy's sons, and we went all to all the mystery caves. And you know, if anybody saw Rex's video, they know where we went. Okay, we got back, and I was with Rex and Oppenheimer and Rex's family and a couple other people with children, and we had such a good day. And we pulled in and we couldn't get in, and then they riot gear to get Rex stuff out of the room.
Yeah, so that's what I
was there.
Yeah,
okay.
so just so you understand, everybody, that when we left and we vacated, after we left in a very big hurry. I hoofed it across the field because I'm relegated to Arizona, so I made sure that I stayed in Arizona at all times. Hoofed it across the field where the caravan then picked me up, and I went across that field with a Navajo guide, just so everybody would know that I wasn't even on that land without a guide. So when anybody wants to talk about being respectful and everything, we went through extraordinary lengths to make sure that we were respectful. Now, after we left and the SWAT team show up with automatic weapons, she was actually there with Rex. And so give us an account of what that was all about.
Well, when we pulled up, instead of, now the campground, the area that we were camping in at the family's property was full, and they were so wonderful. They wanted us there. The love was phenomenal. And when we pulled up, there had to be at least 50 fully lit, I guess, Navajo Nation officers. And SWAT vehicles, full riot gear.
Right,
with
shields,
guns drawn.
Shields, guns
drawn. They were surrounding my car. It was the only car in this campground. This area was full of everyone. And I had nothing but my car sitting there locked. Thank the Lord that I had my key with me. And they were questioning me, where are you from? And I pointed to the license plate, Connecticut. Why are you here? Because I'm learning about your beautiful area. And it is remarkable. And I went all day and we had such a wonderful, and the family was telling us their heritage stories of what that land means to them and how much they want us to know, how they want us to feel it. And I did, and then it was like everything ended, and they forcibly, not physically, but very, very firmly, get your stuff and get out. I bent down the only thing that was left there, and there was not one piece of trash.
And this was private property.
Yes, and there was not one piece of trash. There was nothing. There was not even a sign that you guys were there, except a little pile of firewood that was sitting next to my car, and I went down to pick it up and put it in my car. He says, leave it. And so I got in my car and I drove away, and my phone rings. It's Rex. He says, Juan, are you okay? And I said, I don't even have an intent. My cat was an intent of my own. And everybody pitched in, and brother and sister grabbed things, and everybody made sure I got all my stuff back, and they protected my animal that I didn't want to bring on this trip. And God told me to, and I couldn't figure out why. I come back. I said, okay, trump card, he's coming with me. And when I got onto the road, I realized that I didn't have any gas, and I didn't have my purse, I didn't have any money. And Rex called me, he says, I'm waiting down the road. I have money for you. And he gave me enough gas to get here.
So everybody, if you ever doubted whether Rex has a heart, he does. He's a good man.
And you know what, dude? I love you. Nanu, Rex.
So I just want to say thank you. So somebody asked what would have happened had we not left. I'm going to tell you the words of the officers that they spoke to Dorothy, because they had built the narrative, all of the lies, as you see. So once you understand that lies have been told, it's like a clock. That once you discover a clock gives you the wrong time, you doubt everything it gives you in the future and all that it gave you in the past. So you must doubt anything that they say, because they've proven that they are willing liars. Now, understand, I've also heard some comments and seen some comments about people talking about being angry and that that's not the right energy. But let me explain to you that the English language is corrupt at all levels, and it's also designed to deceive. And with that comes the inability to actually express the emotion. It isn't anger, because we would love those people should they turn away from what they're doing. should they actually embrace their people and do the right thing and stop serving the powers of this world in such a way that it violates the very rights of the people that they state they're protecting. So this is not anger. This is disgust. Beautiful people, amazing. So yes, Lieutenant Kim, I just want to let you know, we never got to meet personally. I didn't communicate directly with any of the law enforcement. But I have heard from multiple people that it was visible and that they could feel your energy and that you were not happy with what your superiors were even doing. Whether that's true or not, whether you can state that or not, whether you react to that or not, we felt that. And so we want to send you our love and our appreciation that you're recognizing. And maybe you need to question whether you continue working with that.
Hi, I'm beloved child. I wasn't going to speak, but he just started the conversation, so now I know it's time.
Where are you from?
I'm from Western New York. Yes, family, I am fine. I told you that I would not be here if I was not called since birth. I would not be here if this was not about love and love only. I would not be here if it was not about truth and sorry, that was part of the next thing that's going on. It's about truth, communication, which equals love. This is what we need to understand. This is what is happening with this group. This is what local witness opened my eyes and helped me put the pieces of the puzzle together. There's more of the pieces that are coming together. The four corners have already been together. It's collectively now coming. I have two other people that rode with me that can definitely validate this happened. On our trip, we should have been here sooner, but we got slowed back for reasons that are so spiritual and so amazingly beautiful that it took time for me to understand and let that aggravation out and realize it's over love that it happens. Woo. I've lived in Texas. I've lived in New Mexico. But a lot of these states and the spirits of these states knew I was coming through, and boy, they were building me up. Texas said, "Joan, stop and talk. Joan, we got to, oh, Joan, stop." I said, "No, honey, I'll be back through. We got conversations. I'll share the love then." New Mexico said, "Oh my gosh, we can't believe you're here." I said, "No, I know. I'll be back. I'll have my conversations with you guys too. Keep sending me the love, though." I get to Arizona. Everything stopped. I said, "Well, what's here? What's here? Do I want to talk to you guys? You guys are heavy." A mountain, and I got two people that can bear jumped out and said, "Boo." I said, "Ooh, I know your name now. Or not your name, but I know your voice now." And I said, "You didn't scare me. No fear. Boy, this is going to be fun." I have been waiting for a spiritual battle because I'm rising above every moment. And somebody else. Yes, we were in the restroom. I am straightening out my layers one by one by one. And it's beautiful. So by the time we got to the first part of the desert, I cannot remember, but it's named after horses. I got horses on both sides. Boy, I was so excited when I found out that we got moved from that one spot that didn't make me feel comfortable going there. Found out we're going where the horses are. I said, "Thank you. Now I know I'm going where I'm supposed to." We get there. First night, nobody's there. I'm scared. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we're going to be in the wrong place." I'm like, I've got to go to sleep. Something touched me in the middle of my back. Beautiful, beautiful, all the way to the top of my head, and told me, "Your heart and your brain is protected. No worries. Don't worry about it. Just keep the faith and keep going with love." Okay, I got this. We get moved to the next site. I'm like, "Oh my gosh," in the morning, I'm like, "This monument is beyond gorgeous." Now, again, I don't know much. I told myself as a child, I don't want to know nothing until it starts getting there. And once it starts getting there, let me know what I need to know when it's time to know so that I can just bust out. Whew, okay, so, and I love to talk, guys, I'm sorry. Whew, so I get called out to the monument, and I'm going up to the monument the first day, and I get this big pressure. No. Sat by a tree, loved on the tree, said, "I'll see you. See you soon." I got to know.
Blood on that tree. I know that's real.
There's another day. Second time, went out by myself, and I got to call up coming up to mom. I don't know about that. I said, "Listen, I'm coming out with love. love coming out with truth, communication, and I'm ending it with love. Well, planes tried to go by and throw their smoke. I pointed to the planes and I said, listen, honey, we're here because we want to stop this too. We want to stop everybody behind, because everybody was behind me at the camp. I said, we're all of us behind me are here to stop this too. I'm only going to talk about one thing. Somebody else had noticed that I was closed up walking back because a lot of this is for me, but this one thing needs to come out. I was told there was going to be consequences. I said, okay, bring it on, because we're going to combat it with love. And it's just that's what we're here for. That is what Global Witness is here for. We're going to take this on with love, because honestly, love is the power of all things. It's going to wrap around us with wings, and just have faith. When it starts to hurt, when you're ready to start crying, let it out, shut it off, and just know you're getting stronger. Let it keep going. But yes, and again, I'll keep going. Love you guys.
So somebody has asked. Somebody says, ask Rex. Sheila says that there was a bomb threat. Somebody says that there was a bomb threat. I'm not sure. The only bomb threat, if we had a bomb threat, it was a love bomb threat. Okay? We're dropping love bombs on everybody out there. So there was no bomb threat from anybody in this place, that's for sure. And of course, if that's what was said, that would yet just be another lie to end up covering the tracks of the malfeasance that took place on behalf of those that were actually damaging the families and using us as an excuse, because the threat really comes to us empowering those families or giving them the money, because the reality of it is they also want slaves. They want to starve their people out. Nothing has changed. I've got news for you. Nothing has changed in 100 years. So they're still starving their people out. So anybody else have anything to say before we close it? Come on in, sit down.
Hi, everybody. Hope you all are doing great.
Hey, where are you from?
I'm Chris Cooper. I'm from Dallas, Texas. So quite a ways away here from Arizona, but not as far as some of you all traveled. If you're listening to this, I just want to say I love you. You feel the love right now. I'm sending it to you. But we were lied to. We were lied to very badly. The reason they closed the park, the spiritual forces that control everything here, did not want us to do what we came there to do. We had a job here. We came here to do something. Not all of us understand exactly what it was, but the Father moves us to do things. And I was called to go do something. The monuments there are all connected in a very special way. If you go out there and see them, you'll understand this. It's unlike anything you've ever felt anywhere in the world. I can't quite put my fingers on it, but it's bigger than any of us really realize. It's ancient. It's very ancient. There was a war that took place there, a big battle that took place there, and there was lots of pain that went on there in that land. Everyone felt it when we arrived. Nobody slept well. Nobody felt like, we all felt good because we were with each other and the love was amazing and we were protected. We got sealed in our foreheads. But we also felt the darkness that was there and it kept us unsettled. We knew that there were forces that were cursing us, using darkness that was in that place to stir up energies. And they can't do that anymore. That time is over. I was told not to go past a certain point. I didn't listen because they can't tell you where you can and can't go. Okay? This is Earth. They don't own this land. When I showed up and I went to the people, I think it was the Holiday family where we stayed at, and so I forget who told me, but they said there was a lake there. They said you can go walk around and explore, but you can't go past the lake. But halfway through the day, the first full day we were there, something called me to just go there in that moment. In the middle of the day, we were all ready, getting our excursions ready, planning to go, getting all this stuff ready, but I just knew I had to walk there and go now. I didn't know why, but now I know why. And I'll share that with y'all. Because What I experienced when I went to that monument and what I saw there has changed me forever. I need to share that with y'all because there's more going on here than any of us really realize. This is bigger than any of us can even comprehend. There's a reason it says men's eyes will fail them. Because when this thing actually comes here, it's here already. It got released. And when it comes, it's angry at the ones who kept them there. The ones who stayed, they were all released. And the ones who stayed were the ones who were still angry at the Hopi and the Navajo for what they did. For thousands, for even longer, they put fear on these places, telling stories of these monsters that live underground, that do these horrible things. Yes, but they don't give them love. They needed the love. You have to accept all the Father's children, no matter who or what they do. It's about the love.
Let me explain something. I'm seeing here in the chat on some things that are actually taking place. So I'm not trying to pause you, but apparently that RV in the article, because none of us left any RVs there. Nobody left an RV there. Apparently, yes, your vehicle's left one there. Was there any RV there when you left? So if there was an RV put there or placed there, they put it there. And apparently they said that it's a bomb threat. So, things like this can take place, that if they're setting us up, understand that we're already on you and we're already articulating that this is what you're doing. Because if you think that you're going to be setting us up, there isn't anybody here. In fact, we'll all do residue checks of our fingers just to make sure, because you know that that's how bomb detection works. So there isn't anybody here, like I said, no bomb threats, just love bombs. Because we don't want anybody harmed. We want everybody to do the right thing. We want everybody to turn from the evil ways and to stop listening to the lies of the federal government, because they are not your friend. Everything has become an illusion. They're here to love us, but yet they're poisoning you. They're here to love us, but yet they're starving out people. They're here to love us, but yet they hire people against their own people. I'm sorry, but you don't get away with this. And it's time that you actually fear your people again. Not fear because we've got anything of violence to bring, because the love that we have and the ignorance of you as a power will simply destroy you. When all things are revealed, all the lies executed here are revealed. That's the apocalypse. It's nothing that we do. When Christ said, do you see all of these stones? Not one stone will not be thrown down. He wasn't speaking of something that he would do. He was speaking that once the truth, what he had spoken, which is actually being fulfilled and realized today in its completeness. Once these things became complete, those temples would be thrown down. Not because anybody did it. It's because the imaginary temples, the lies of your temples, the lies that you have sold people will be torn down, and everything that you've executed has become false and it will not stand. So you could call that extremist, but the reality is everybody in this world is waking up. Millions upon millions of people are waking up to your lies and your deception and the illusion that is created, because this world is run by the enemy. And anybody that doubts that, but yet says, oh, they believe in Jesus, well, then why don't you just read his words? Why don't you just pay attention to his words, because you really don't know them. Stop teaching what Paul taught in order to adhere to the Roman government. Oh, he said, Paul was very, very clear in Romans 13 that watch out, they don't bear the sword in vain, that they work for God. Yes, the enemy God. And he also articulated, just for those of you that are new, that there are two gods. There's the creator of all, and then there is the God of this age, which runs this world. Or did you not understand that in 1 Corinthians 4:4, when he describes two gods, a lowercase g God and an uppercase g God? So you don't get to escape the scriptures that you state that you believe in. And if you have any competition, we've got a person that is.
I told you at the end of the day,
the irony is he's actually a cult and actually has a cult center, and his name's Gabriel of Urantia. So Gabriel, if you ever want to come on and spew your nonsense on this channel so I can refute it and destroy you and your entire group with the scriptures that you say that you believe in, come on with it.
That was beautiful. That's the truth. The truth is being revealed. The truth can no longer be hidden. That's why they feared us coming there. That's why they circled our camp and shine spotlights on us. They didn't even come talk to us. They were so scared because they didn't know anything. They just come up and see what we were doing. We would have offered them a bowl of soup, said, said, hey, you want to sit by the campfire and talk? How's your day going? Where are you from? These are the most loving people you'll ever meet in the world. And we came from all over the world. Duncan, the guy who came on here first, I rode 14 hours in the car with him from Texas. Amazing. We're brothers. He spoke to my spirit. Because when we speak these truths, they penetrate your soul because we're connected. We're all one. And these truths will be revealed. And that's what happened when they tried to keep us from freeing some of the souls that were trapped there from those ancient battles and the fear and the hate that was put there, because the people, I don't know exactly which native tribes did it. They were using dark rituals there and using that energy for dark purposes. And the ones that got released, like I said, the ones that got released that stayed, some of them went home. Some of them went home, and it was the most beautiful thing. That's why we were there. They tried to keep us out. They thought they won by kicking us out. We won. We did what we came there to do.
That's when they kicked in the terror fear.
Like Jesus said, what does the shepherd do? The shepherd leaves the flock to go after the one lamb. It's worth it. It's worth risking everything for the one lamb. So, when we go and sacrifice ourselves for these things, it's not about any one person. It's about bringing the family together, bringing us all back to love, because this is the new age. We don't have to go to war. Read the Hopi prophecies. They put it in your mind that we have to go to war and fight against these things. We don't have to go to war. We don't have to do any of this. We can love them when they come up from the ground. We can greet them and hug them and say, like, look, we're sorry for what happened. I understand it happened to us too. We're all brothers in this. We're all sisters in this. Every single person, every child of the Father deserves to experience the love. Every child of the Father is going home.
Facts.
Not one of us will not be saved. It's beautiful. Come home. Come home.
So let me just explain to you, everybody, what's going on. As I've always said, Christ is the individual man. In his own words, he said the return of the Son of Man will be like lightning striking in the east and flashing in the west. He described the body of Christ as a body, that there are many members. You're seeing the establishment of that. You're seeing it right here in this chat room. So understand this. Christ right now, as we speak, is turning
Oh,
tables.
God. Oh, God. Oh, Jehovah. Oh, Allah. Oh, Buddha Krishna. Oh.
Thank you. I love all of you guys. I love you. Stay strong. Can you come here and say hello?
So just so nobody thinks anything, his mother is right back here, right? So we're not enlisting youngsters out of age. His mother's brought him here, so let her come in and say hello.
Hello.
So I just met this wonderful person here just a short time ago. What do you feel in this room?
Very good, good spiritual energy.
Good spiritual energy. How old are you?
9.
9 years old. Remember, folks, it says we will be led by a little child. I have a feeling that this young man is more than you know.
That's why we're here. That's exactly why we're here. Just he's leading me.
He's leading her. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Be as little children. And you know what? We are all little children now, relearning who we are. And so I believe that people like this, beautiful people just like this, know more than we do. Listen to them. They know. So where you just got here, you weren't up at that location, were you? No. So you just got here, so found out that we were here, came here?
Yeah, we've experienced a lot of resistance, an extreme amount of resistance that started about a month prior to this event. We've been knowing that we were coming for quite some time, but just for about 4 weeks, we've been experiencing a tremendous amount of resistance getting here. And then once we got here and everything got shut down at Monument Valley,
we had a really hard time finding you guys as well. So we've been like driving up and down, like contemplating if this is where we're supposed to be. My family is totally against this. They feel like we're being deceived. I honestly feel like most of our families are not. And I've really been feeling as though that energy from our families is really pushing us away from where we need to be. So we need to be blocking some of those energies and things, like be aware and cognizant that your own family may not understand your perspective and you know, my mom, she's like, I've been praying that if you're going to be deceived, that this event be shut down. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you pray against that?
The mama give birth to the man and the woman, and that darkness behind the skies was considered a divine deity, and it encompasses the whole cosmos. And when you say encompasses, the word that you have in there is compass. So they said that this was a time of compassion, and we see the root word of compass in there. We also see that the word passion as the root word pass, and because this is the great passing. This is the story of Jesus or Jesus. But what you got to realize is Jesus is just a personification of feminine renewal energy in a patriarchal form. But it's not the end of the world. It's the end of the Gregorian calendar. After this date, the events that's going to take place is going to make the Gregorian calendar pretty much be exposed for what it is. It's not accurate, and it was made to hide our true place in the cosmos and where we are in reference to time. All of the celestial events that's been leading up to this have been exposing not only NASA's globe, but the calendar that supports that globe, and that was tailored to fit that cosmology, which is the Gregorian calendar. Every day the globe spin is a 24-hour day that they're accounted for on a calendar. And this calendar is a record of this whole heliocentric deception. Globe earthers are saying we can predict these events. But if you think about it, they're really not predicting these events on a correct time scale. A lot of globalists predicted this event to happen September 23rd. But if the ancients were here, they wouldn't have the calendar we have, but they would still have the prediction. So what is going on with this Gregorian deception? You got to think about leap year. You got to think about the fact that what's happening, this alignment on the 23rd, debunks the Earth's tilt.
Debunks the Earth
now,
tilt.
Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Tilted on his axis.
Equinox, as you see here at the bottom, they got a little diagram of how it's going to look. The only problem with the diagram is the Earth's axis. You notice it's not tilted. You notice that on their diagram here, the Earth is not tilted. Now, this is very important to lock in your head because just a while back during the eclipse, they gave us an example of how the eclipse would work on a globe. What they did was gave us an incorrect scale to show how the eclipse would work on a globe. They couldn't give us the correct scale with the sun and moon being millions of miles away. We wouldn't have had a local eclipse that just took place a while back in America. That was only visible from North America. It should have been visible from that whole side of the hemisphere of that globe if the sun and moon were so far away like they say. That distance would cancel out any local phenomena. You can't have local phenomena with celestial objects that's not local. Objects that's millions and hundreds of thousands of miles away would never give you a local phenomena. So when they tried to explain to you how the eclipse was local on a globe, they had to pull the moon up very close to the Earth and give you an inaccurate scale. I say all of that to say this. Whenever they try to explain natural phenomena on a globe which is unnatural, they have to give you incorrect scales. So in this case, to explain to us why the hell we're going to be seeing all of these planetary alignments and conjunctions on the 23rd, they have to give us a fake model by making the Earth axis up right now. So we know that on a flat earth, there is no wobbly axis and all of that blasphemous imperfections that they try to say the creator is dumb and created a ball that wobbles. And if they reinterpret what the creation is to you, they interpret to you what the creator is, because we only know the creator through the creation. So this is why they go through so much trouble to say what's going on in the sky. And they lie about the earth and everything, because these are the things that define the creator to us, the creator's creation. And what we see here on the bottom left is the equinoxes. And this is the typical malarkey that you get from mainstream science and NASA and the likes. On this model right here, you're seeing your top scientists in major schools of thought that run our science fields today. You see that they are actually explaining this equinox with a tilted earth. And what I want you to point out and keep in mind is the inconsistencies when you got all of these professional scientists trying to explain themselves. It's like they can do whatever they want to do to the model, long as it fit their lie. They don't give us a consistent model. They give us a model that they constantly bend and change to explain what we naturally see. Nature don't lie to us. And the same event that we're about to see on the 23rd, all of the ancients been predicting it, y'all, for so long. The ancients were looking forward to it. The ancients got this thing all over their temples. If the ancients were able to predict it, that lets you know it's a natural, perfect occurring.
Yeah, a lot of them said they was connected to praise the parks during their little time. That's why I pumped my brakes.
But now what they're doing in our time is taking what the ancients knew and corrupting it to make us be in fear of the truth of the ancients. And that truth is the truth of nature, the truth of you and me, and what's going on in our house. This is our home. And if you walked inside of your home every day in fear, thinking that the roof was going to fall on you, you would be a miserable person. So how did man convince us to walk outside every day, look up at the sky, which is so beautiful, but be in fear? And then we walk inside of his man-made temples and have no fear. We trust that his buildings are stable, but we don't think that the creator created a stable creation. Every time you turn around, man is telling us something that's blasphemous against that intelligent creator that created this creation. We know that the Most High is not dumb. We know man as sure as hell is not smarter than the Most High. They want you to think Mother Nature is this bitch that just love to whip you up with hurricanes and tornadoes because you breathing too much of her air. So it ain't like we can destroy the earth. The earth can't be destroyed, and it won't be destroyed. Only thing that will be destroyed and recreated is the mentality and mindset of the masses. And based on where we at mentally is what we will create in our physical reality. As above, so below. The way we perceive what happens in the sky is what we build on the ground. So we build temples in the ancient world because we understood the perfection of the movement of the celestial bodies. So we built temples to mimic and reflect that, and also lived according to that in our lifestyle. Even when we meditate, we assume the moon goddess position. Remember, I told you the Ankh is the anchor. The moon crest goddesses are in the shape of an anchor because the anchor symbolizes the ending, or the book of Revelation, where all things are revealed. So that is symbolic of the number 7. That's why you get the 7 seals, 7, all of this stuff. The 7 is the number of completion. But the 7th is the Sabbath. It's not Sunday. Saturday should be the 7th day. Sunday is for the sun. Moon day, Monday is for the moon. And Saturday is for Saturn. But Saturn has nothing to do with this ring planet that NASA give you. It's the yin-yang symbol. It's a ball with a ring around it, or a ball with a line through it, meaning balance. This is what's going to take place during this alignment. This is really the celestial Sabbath that's going to take place. So Saturn, get the whole planet out of your mind, because that'll throw you off. Get that out of your mind. Saturn is Satan. Told you that the great dragon will be coming during the time of trial and tribulation. The great dragon is the Alpha Draconis. They was able to prophesy this because all of the ancients already knew about this alignment. It's nothing new, y'all. It's only new in our lifetime because for the last 5,000 years, they've been hiding this stuff from us. So now they're bringing it back out under false pretenses that what we're going to see is the mark of the beast and the return of the great dragon. No one is going to literally see this Antichrist and this dragon flying in the sky. You're going to see the stars shaped like a dragon or a serpent woman or the mother goddess that I always teach all about, who had the head of a woman and the body of a snake, or either it was the body of a fish. She is the mermaid or Satan, the great dragon. This is why when females get married, they wear a long dress. She's giving birth. Or in other cultures, it was said that the serpent is shedding its skin. It's getting new skin and leaving the old one behind. Thing becomes a new. This is why this is a annual event. Think about that, people. This is an annual phenomenon. And when you say annual, dealing with the equinoxes, it's annual. Remember. Why the earth ain't tilted right here during this equinox like you, because if you show me this is the way great womb. So what you looking at now, I brought it up to debunk the globe, okay, because in this model, they showing you the equinoxes. They showing you all of the equinoxes.
I'm sorry, y'all, my bad.
And they saying how these equinoxes is perfect on a tilted globe. However, they then contradict themselves when they come over here and try to explain this September equinox with the earth standing upright. People, I haven't felt the earth move. Don't you think if the earth was to go from a tilted axis to all of a sudden standing upright, that there will be global catastrophes beyond imagination? The only way they can explain this is by saying, hey, Brother Sanchez, on this first model, that's the way the earth is tilted, and that's the way we get equinoxes, with a tilted earth, Brother Sanchez. And then I asked them, okay, well, why the earth ain't tilted right here during this equinox like you just showed? Because if you show me this is the way equinoxes look on one hand, but then say, but not the September equinox, during the September equinox, the earth is actually going to be equal now. It debunks the globe, y'all. Because in order for the earth to go from a tilted axis to a straight up axis, all the water in the ocean will have to move immediately. And if you're aware of geoengineering, you know that some of the oceans disappeared. You know that during this time, a lot of people say this.
Did y'all see that? Do y'all remember seeing that shit? I should have got that. Damn, I should have kept that on file. Did y'all remember seeing that the ocean bottom after that shit had took place? All the water in the damn ocean was gone. We was looking at the ocean floor. Y'all remember that shit? I said, damn, all the water got down. They didn't suck all the. Then you can see the ocean bottom floor. Damn, I should have kept a record of that shit.
us that nature is attacking us. So all the talks about the pole shifts and doom days and all of that is because this time they can't explain what happens to the earth, so they can have something to argue with someone. Say, hey, how the earth just all of a sudden stand up and say, well, if you see all the hurricanes, if you see all that weather, that's proof of the pole shift. So, you know, if a person don't know about geoengineering, they could definitely buy into this, and that's what most of the world is doing. So it's interesting to see. So they telling me that the Earth axis is gonna tilt starting on the 20th to the 23rd. The Earth axis is gonna tilt, and we ain't gonna feel it. What it is we're not gonna feel it. They're gonna try to create the events that would happen if the Earth would actually tilt this axis and stand upright. I'm saying that the Earth is not tilted. We're on a flat Earth, and the luminaries are moving in their circuits above us, creating this alignment. We're still as still can be. The fact that all of these temples all over the earth are aligning themselves on the 23rd with this event proves we ain't on the globe. Everybody, even flat earthers, are talking about is the earth going in, and we should have more sense than the globalists. And there's no way the earth going in. Think about it. Look at how hypocritical it is. You got all of these Christians going around and these videos going viral. There's a dude who put a video out this morning. It got over 5 million views. All of the news stations are reporting this as the incoming because they want us to believe that. So when the shit start hitting the fan, we'll think it's the Most High and we don't know it's the government. The earth is not tilted. Now they're telling you on the 20th, the earth axis is going to stand up, but we ain't going to feel it. And the ocean waters ain't going to no big event because of it. So if on the 20th, the earth axis is going to go from tilted to upright over the process of 3 days and finally be upright on that third day, y'all can see how they get the mythological Jesus story and how he rose again on the third day. Think about it, y'all. Jesus would be the sun on this map here. Virgo would be one thief. Leo would be the other thief. Now, if you think about the open tomb concept, what they're showing you is the eclipse. The open tomb with the rock halfway in front of the tomb is nothing but the MasterCard symbol. So Aldebaran is thought by some, including myself, I think that this just may be our second sun that exists beyond the ring. When they changed the name from Aldebaran, or they changed the name from what the ancients had it and gave you Nibiru, then they changed the concept of what we're going to be seeing. And there are celestial objects beyond the Antarctic ring that are going to be in alignment with ours. This alignment combines all worlds. It combines the celestial plane above to the earthly realms here in the middle of Midgard. And remember, if you look at Virgo here, and if you look in the bottom left corner, you see again that the moon is always at the bottom. It's the revelation. It's the ending, because it's what's become new after all of this. Here's the phases of the moon. If you look at the top left, that's what's called a new moon. What happens during a new moon is there is no moon. You have never seen a new moon in your life. So when they say that there's a new moon, what they're saying is the moon actually enters Nut. She is what's called new. When they talk about an annual phenomena, they're talking about this hidden vein that we can't see in the sky. But if you look at Nut in Kemetic cosmology, you'll see that the sun and moon are entering her body, making a transit that goes off of our plane. The sun and moon has a relationship to invisible bodies, and they enter and exit portals that we can't see. This can explain the phases of the moon and also these eclipses. This dark hole, or black hole as NASA call it, they tell you if you enter it, you go to another dimension, or it's a portal into another gateway or world. They even tell you that in a dumb heliocentric universe. They tell you in space, when you enter a black hole, you go to a whole nother universe. Your mind is synced to the celestial luminaries. Whether you participate or not, you either fail or succeed. In other words, nature don't care if you don't know what's going on. You either tap into the energy of what's happened or you don't, and it either works for you or against you. So that's just how they're creating hell, because nature don't care. if you don't know. Nature don't know that you don't know. And with predictive programming and them speaking a dual language, they actually telling us the truth, but you're not decoding it. So nature don't have no idea that you don't know. They got the symbols all in your face. They telling you through mythology what's going to happen, and it's happening. They're just giving you a different dialogue, which is unnatural, which is contrary to what is natural, what we literally don't see. So these natural events have always taken place, and there's always been new moons. Why would this time be any different? Because they have planned this for the last 5,000 years. Listen, y'all, what's going to happen, everybody always knew about it. What's going to happen is called Mabon. It's the autumn equinox. There's always equinoxes, but during this autumn equinox is a great alignment. This is a special. Now, if you look at what's called Mabon, this is all about the witches of the craft. Remember that everything I teach on my channel about the witches and how they eclipse the moon with their broom. The broom is the bridge or the bride. The bride is the bridge. She is the one who's the gateway. So when you think
I got it,
or matriarch, it's the woman's womb which holds the mitochondrial DNA, holds the lineage or the bloodline. In our time, they reverse the roles, and the man now holds the lineage, and the woman get his last name. So what's going to happen now is the end of the patriarch concept. The great mother is returning, but it's going to be a huge period of transitioning from patriarchy to matriarchy, and we're at the forefront of it now. So when you think of the scarab beetle rolling the dung beetle in Kemet, remember the dung beetle rolling the ball is the same thing of the open tomb and the Jesus resurrection of the rock being rolled from the tomb. The mythology of the dung beetle rolling the egg was corrupted and became Jesus' tomb rolling. If you think of the shape of this tomb, it's an arc shape that symbolizes Nut, and this is sex magic. This is why Jesus was able to be resurrected. Remember that resurrection is death and rebirth that can only happen with sex, man and woman. So what you say when you talk about resurrection, you're talking about sex. You're talking about the male phallus being magnetically influenced by the female. The female goddess is where the horns. That's why I keep telling you this is all linked to Satan or Saturn. They told you the devil coming back, but really the God is coming back. They told you Jesus being resurrected, but really the great mother is resurrecting both of her sons, which is our son and the other son, Aldebaran. So when you say resurrection, all right, think of the open tomb as being the open womb. The tomb is the womb. And when you look at the tomb of the pyramids on Giza, they are aligned with the womb of the virgin. The pyramids at Giza is telling you the virgin birth that the Bible stole. If you look above the three pyramids, which is this Jesus on the cross with the two thieves, above them you see the same thing. Leo and the sun is Jesus with the halo coming back. Jesus is Leo the
oh, look at that flat earth here, baby.
Deity coming to save you, Christian. If you're a Christian, the book of Revelation means that that's what's going to be revealed to you right now. And guess who's the Antichrist? I am. This is why the book told you during this time, many people like me going to be Antichrist because it's going to be many people waking up to their damn deception. So they already wrote it in their book, don't listen to us, and they call us Antichrist. We're the ones who putting the pieces to the puzzle together, telling you that it's all bullshit. And
yeah, the conspiracy theory, though. We stupid, we crazy.
Believe in Jesus, they're just telling you Mother Nature is doing it. But there is no deity who created this earth that's going to harm us. It's them who have always been harming us, telling us that God and the Most High and Mother Nature is doing it. All Mother Nature want to do is nurture you. That's what the word nature means. It means nurture. Been creating the technology to bring the book of Revelation to life for the past 5,000 years. What's going to be happening in the sky during the 23rd is an alignment that all of the ancients look forward to and they celebrate it. What we don't know has been hurting us. What we don't know and our ignorance have been killing us and have been preying on us because of our ignorance. If we understood the true nature of this earth and how this all worked like the ancients, like I'm showing you now, like there's nothing to be scared of, then they wouldn't be able to do us like they're going to do. By them already having millions of Christians. And I heard a Christian say these words. A Christian said, God is coming back to punish us for polluting this planet and for climate change. But it's not our fault. The way we live is a system that was set up and given to us. We was taught to live this way. We was born into a world that put plastic wrapping over our oranges and apples. We was born into a world that created a system of streets and roads and concrete and cars. And so you had to kind of play the game you was born into. And now what they're doing is accusing us for this hellhole they created. The ancient people didn't want to build the world up the way we see it today. And let me tell you something, with all of the pollution, we still can't destroy the earth. It ain't that if you poop where you live at, you'll destroy your house. It just means you're going to be uncomfortable in your house because you're going to be smelling crap. That's our situation. We never can destroy the earth. It's impossible. Man, I don't care if you give him infinity years, he'll never develop the technology to destroy what the Most High has created. What'll happen is what we do in our attempts to destroy it, we'll only destroy the serenity that the Most High intended for us to have upon it. So we're destroying the heavenly reality that we could be given to ourselves and our children. And hell is actually a lifestyle we've been creating for the last 4,000, 5,000 years under the rise of the first patriarchs in Egypt who created this new world order that is ending. I told you in the Bible, the devil is going to get mad. The devil know his time up, so he's going to try to drag most of the world.
What Nubian at?
In their case, they're saying if we can't rule over you anymore, we're going to just kill all of you. They've been using their technology to make the book of Revelation true. They told you that the book of Revelation would happen because nature would bring it to life. But what you see is a blasphemy today, and you see man bringing the book to life with technology, and God ain't doing none of that bad, evil stuff to his children. To her children. It's man attacking us, and it's man who always been attacking us, blaming it on the Most High and getting us convinced that it's the Most High. That's the sad part. Man has succeeded in making us thinking it is the Most High. You know, maybe we deserve it. Look at the way we act, but we can't be guilty, guys. We didn't create this society. The people who created this new world order that we in, they convinced us that civilization started 5,000, roughly 7,000 years ago, let's say.
No, you sent me an email with a lot of clips on it, and then I clicked off of it, and I couldn't figure out which email you sent it to. I've been looking for it like 3 days. I can't find out which one you sent it to. I checked all of them.
Civilization ended 7,000 years ago, just like Morpheus told Neo in the Matrix. He said, your world ended years ago, and you've been living in a dream state. You think you in civilization. You think wars every day, poison water, vaccinations, chemtrails, GMO food. You really think that shit is civilized. You have been convinced all your life you live in a civilization. If an ancient person who come from the pre-dynastic world where the real civilizations existed, if they came to our world, they would really literally think they walked onto hell itself. We walking around on cell phones just as peaceful and calm. We don't know we living in hell. We don't know that the world we live in.
Damn, because I went back looking. I clicked on it, and that's I'm gonna look at it later. And I went back trying to find. I can't find none of that. I said, man, it was about 4, 5, 6, or 7 clips or something. I said, shit, I can't watch all this right now, so I'm gonna go back and look at it. And all this shit got there came up missing.
Pre-dynastic means pre-dynasty.
My bad, y'all.
Dynasties before the pharaohs. When the dynasty started, that was the beginning of the new world order.
Facts.
The lineage of the.
Well, it changed from the matriarch to the goddamn patriarch. The goddamn pharaoh started that shit.
Lineage of the human to the male. You get all of these bogus genealogies and bloodlines. You get all of these fictitious lineages like
the matriarch. They go right over there and build them a goddamn kingdom and put a queen right where she's supposed to be.
Saying that they are the chosen people because of false lineages. The true lineages come from the womb of all of your mothers, and every family had a family crest or a great seal.
That's where they got that shit started.
Get out of that side.
Before we got down.
The womb of your mother is the great seal to your tribe.
Before we trace your lineage through your mama.
Trinity. So what they did to get rid of the tribe was give you the diatribe, which is the dialogue that takes away the royal crest from the family and give it to the Pharaoh's family or the dynasty. What it does is it takes the sovereignty away from all of us and create what's called royal families and peasants. That's the system that started in Egypt, and that's the system we still in today. And that system is ending. It's spiritually and celestial ending is on the 23rd, and what follows that is the physical ending, which will start all of the great cataclysms, because they don't want their calendar and their rule to end. I would say over the next 5 years, there's going to be more wonders in the stars, but this alignment would be the highlight of it all. If you count 5 years from now, that'll give you 2022. What's so important about that date? Well, a couple of years back, our government and senators and politicians was talking about reducing the world population before 2022. Remember that. Now it's starting to make sense now. They have to do it around this time because this is the end of the Pope Gregory calendar. Now back to this
Pope Gregory calendar.
You see this beetle rolls this and gives birth. This is a very sacred beetle in Kemet. And for those of you who don't know, the Egyptians really revered this. As you can see right here, orangish object, and if you look at the color of it, you will see why during this time they have a festival called Mabon. You talk about Thanksgiving, Halloween, you deal with the color red, reddish orange, reds and orange, and you pair them up with yellow, and you compare them up with black and white. So you got black, white, yellow, red, orange, which is the colors of the Judah flag. And remember, I just told you about the line of Judah. Leo and the sun would be Jesus coming back in the middle. That's Judah. If you look at the Judah flag, Rastafarian flag, you got red, yellow, and green. These colors are symbolic. And what the colors are is red, yellow, green, black, white, orange. They pair them up for different reasons. The orange, yellow, white, and black is the Halloween Thanksgiving colors. And the reason for that is because the sun is yellow, the moon is black, and we also know that the sky is black. The whole color black is there because of the womb energy, the Trinitarian aspect that's always present. When you deal with Satanism, the colors of Satanism is red, black, and white. And the colors of Halloween is orange, black, and white. But this is the same thing. Red and orange are the same because this is all a festival for a reddish orange body called Aldebaran. I know I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but it's reddish orange. So when you compare red or orange with black and white, you're tapping into the energies of this whole event. So when you look at all of the bodies involved in this, the colors of them are red, orange, black, white, and yellow, meaning the sun, moon, Aldebaran. So these are the colors of Mabon, Halloween, Satanism, remembering this has all got something to do with fertility, because the open tomb and Jesus being resurrected symbolizes a baby being born, life, recreation, life and death, renewal. This is what the yin yang symbolize. What you have is, you have one circle that's light, and one circle that would be the lid of the door, and that represents full moon and new moon. The reason that they're not closed or all the way open, and that the doors are halfway, is for the same reason the MasterCard symbol is like this. You want to have those doors halfway because that symbolizes the crossroads or the gateway or the vulva between the woman's legs, the portal where we come in and out of existence from. It is your MasterCard. That's how you travel. You can't go nowhere without it, meaning you can't exist without the womb. This is how our body is even created, for us to have a place for our spirit to inhabit. And that's the reason why the female is the most under attack in our generation, in our lifetime. When you look at the female in the ancient days, she was the most sacred thing, the most sacred thing in the village. Today, she's nothing compared to the man, because it's a man's world. She's only good for getting on a pole, which is also desecration, because the stripper on a pole is nothing but the goddess. Remember, the serpent is wrapped around the pole, and on each side of the pole is sun and moon, and in the middle is the goddess. There she is, the MasterCard. You see, the colors of the MasterCard is red and orange, just like I just showed you. The MasterCard colors is the same colors as Maybon, red and orange, because they've been playing this trick on us for the past 1,000 years. Share this and get people to realize that Jesus ain't coming. The Bible clearly says in Revelation, nobody gonna know the time and date when Jesus comes. They Bible sit up there and tell them that, and they sit up there be hypocrites and go against their own Bible. They Bible tell them in Revelation, it's going to be many men walking around saying Christ has returned, Christ has returned, Christ is returning on this date, Christ is returning on that date. Their Bible tell them to don't listen to them men, because those are false prophets, and they have the spirit of the Antichrist, and that no man knows when the Most High or Jesus going to come, because he going to come like a thief in the night. That's written in their Bible. Yet you got all of these Christians going around predicting this stuff, saying it's going to be on the 23rd, going against what they Bible told them not to do. They actually becoming the false prophets that they were. I don't care if y'all don't like me. I don't like deception. To my Christian flat earthers, they counting on y'all to sell this off as a natural event. Because Christians are saying, yes, it's natural. It's because Christ time.
Okay, Louis, shit. I seen that damn shit about them damn them Indians, about them natives and shit.
It's because it's time for the white man to get off the throne. Or it's because it's time for Mother Nature to get ready. And Mother Nature mad at you. So yes, she coming back, Brother Sanchez. No, Mother Nature ain't taking her bet off punishing us with hurricanes and record-breaking cataclysms. I'm convinced that nature has never produced a natural cataclysm that has wiped out massive amounts of people. They asked them questions today like, where did the Mayans go? Where did the Egyptians go? They're right here. They are us. So at the same time all of this is happening, their system is falling. And they know it, so they have to become the beast that they speak of in Revelation and raise the havoc that they speak of. Don't you know globalists are asking more questions about the globe now than they ever have in globalist history? Temples in Mexico going to be showing serpents. The tomb is the womb. When we get placed into the casket, we're being placed
from the cradle to the grave, nigga. From the womb to the tomb.
The female is the gateway between worlds, and now I'm deciphering what the ancients have been trying to tell us for so long at this time. The book that reveals all of the stuff I'm breaking down to you is the last book of the Bible. It's called Revelation. At this time, we are actually getting the revelation that the Bible speaks of. And it has nothing to do with the crap that it wrote about. If you read the book of Revelation, it's telling you in a biblical mythological way, everything I'm showing you what's going to happen in the heavens. This same event that the book of Revelation speak of, all of the ancients wrote this. On their walls, they wrote it in their architecture. They wrote it with the way they align the buildings to prepare for this event. This alignment haven't taken place since some of the pharaohs walked this earth. And the Kemetic people who at the forefront of the Kemetic community don't have no clue. They give trips to Egypt every year, y'all. They got unks all on their neck. And this is the most important event that took place to our ancient Kemetic ancestors. And none of these quote-unquote Kemetic scholars even know that it's going to exist because they're not promoting it. What they're promoting is the end of the world. But it's really the end of their world. Remember, they started the new world order. That ended the old world system of sovereignty for us all. We've all been slaves the last 7,000 years. The pharaohs
pre-dynastic period.
The pharaohs started this sun worship. We didn't worship the sun as the primordial source. We worship the black hole, the womb, as the primordial source. And that's what gives birth and rebirth to the sun. Don't you know that the solar eclipse is death and birth of the sun? That's the sun entering the cosmic womb and exiting it. The moon does the same in a different way. There's a designated space for you on this earth, which is an infinite plane. Earth would be the meat. Remember, at the middle of a sandwich is the meat. And a meat is a medium or a meeting amongst. What happens during a meet? A bunch of people come together. That's what happens on the earth, y'all. All of the spirits that exist in the cosmos meet up here in the flesh. Consciousness is going to enter a new paradigm. The dialogue is about to change. It's about to go back to goddess-centered rhetoric. I was one of the first flat earthers to tie the connection between the mother goddess and the flat earth. The North Pole and the compasses point to the center. The tomb is the womb. When you die or when you enter the cross, think of Jesus. And remember how this tied to our equinox on a celestial level or a macro level. On a micro level, when you die in this realm and you get placed in the tomb, at the same time you're being placed in the womb. It all happens simultaneously. At the same time, you leave the earth womb. The earth is a big womb that's pregnant because we're enclosed in the arch. So you're still inside of a pregnant woman. We call earth, and we're enclosed. The arch of her stomach is what's called Nut in Kemetic cosmology. So we are babies inside of a pregnant belly called earth. And what happens when that baby is ready to be born from the belly of the earth? You die. Your work here is done. So it's not dying, it's being reborn. It's not an ending, but a new beginning. Or a renewal, or annual, a new old. So when you die, that's your own microcosmic equinox. You go down into the ground, and then you come back out in your next life, in your mama womb, you stand back up again. So now y'all see why when we get baptized, they take you down, and then they stand you back up. Now you see why NASA is doing the same ritual with their hypnotization by giving you the globe. They're tilting it down.
When
this equinox come, what they're doing is standing it back up. So this is a tricky way that they're baptizing their fake globe to make these same movements that the stars have been making. But only their version is false. They got the earth tilted, and then they stand it back up. That's your baptism. And when you go in the ground, in the tomb, and come back out in your next life, that's a baptism, y'all. You travel in the waters of your mama's belly, just like the Christian travel in the waters when he getting baptized. You go inside of the ground, under the dirt, inside of a casket or a tomb, and that tomb shapes like a yoni or a rectangle. Remember that a rectangle is a rectified angle. Think of REC and think of the recycle symbol. The recycle symbol means resurrection, death, and rebirth. It's
shit, we were talking about that. I forgot we talked about
the
shit.
pyramid is the tomb.
Oh.
The triangle is also the
Larissa,
so the pyramid and the female vagina is the same thing. And what's gonna go on in Kemet during this time is that
it baptized the whole fucking world. It took to the whole axis and baptized all our ass.
This is where the fools try to argue with me, and they be like, Sanchez, ain't that lesbianism? No, the goddess portal, meaning a trinity, that's where you get it wrong. And a womb ain't limited to something in between a woman's leg, because I keep telling you that the ground you walk on is a womb. If you put a seed in it, don't it grow you something? Same thing with the vagina between a woman's leg. That womb has a magnetic attraction. It ain't that you putting the seed in the ground. It's that the dirt is magnetic.
Oh, you talking about, okay.
You being influenced by the ground.
Shit, Booster Booster girlfriend, one of Booster baby mama, the one I'm saying, he done put a hit out on her or some shit.
It's the man that sees the woman.
I told him when that boy got down went to that, he went to the dentist and all that shit and all that bullshit. They got that boy.
And now
he started going around all them transsexuals. You know when he got down going down, he started hanging around all them transsexuals, acting like they don't know these transsexuals. Man, you know the transsexuals, boy. She said she was seeing a lot of shit.
Man may think he do, but everything he do is to impress a woman. So when women change what impresses
all them necklaces and shit with the Bible and Jesus and all that shit, all them necklaces that won't got down.
Spit back to you out what you put into her. Just like
I just want to see people lean towards truth. I don't want them to wake all the way up at one time. Just lean towards what's right and what's truth.
She gonna spit back out what
you eventually wake all the way up.
And your baby gonna come out addicted to heroin. This is how the earth works, family. This is my aunt. The universe gonna give you back what you put out there. And every time you say something, you give birth to a new creation. This concept that I'm telling you about of the open tomb, closed tomb, and how the door is only midway, it's the MasterCard. The new moon and a full moon. It's the eyes open and the eyes closed. But guess what? You can see with your eyes open, and you also can see with your eyes closed. So what is the one that's observing it all then, if that's true? What's observing it all is the third eye. The third eye is the reason why we can't close the tomb. If you close the tomb, that's the end of the story. That's a DNA that's broken. But if you look at DNA, it never closes itself. The DNA keeps going and going and going. Ain't no end to it. There is no loose end to DNA. It's an endless connection, a cord. And the reason it's a cord is because it what connects you to your ancestry. Remember when you say ancestor, the first three words is ANC, which is Ankh. It's what anchors you to the mother. And the moment it don't exist, you as simply will cease to exist. They said energy can't cease to exist. That's true, because energy is all there is. And when you say energy, you're saying inner chi. Chi energy. It's the soul, chi. C-H-I, chi energy. Inner chi. Okay, and that's the ability to tie together the human, all aspects of the human, to become holistic. When the womb closes, all life ends, but the womb will never close and it can never end, because the first womb that ever existed is simply darkness. That's why we have to blink our eyes. That's why you have to go to sleep. That's why eventually you're going to have to go to a death. So microcosm, macrocosm. Blinking is a macrocosm of sleep, and sleep is a macrocosm of death, or microcosm, I mean. And we see this same thing with blinking, sleeping, and dying happening when we look at the alignments. Solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, and then the great eclipse where all the bodies are aligning now would be when the human actually died. A solar eclipse will it'll just be you blinking your eyes. A lunar eclipse take place over a longer amount of time, so that would be you going to sleep at night. But this great alignment would be the equivalent of you getting placed in the ground and taking a longer sleep, a 9-month sleep in the womb of your mother, to be born actually again into a whole nother body. So microcosm, macrocosm. This alignment that's taking place now is the great Trinity alignment. Mother being revealed. And this is what they mean in the book of Revelation when they say at this time the great whore Babylon will actually be present.
Get ready for the game.
But for you to not have fear, you got to have the knowledge that will take that fear away. The knowledge that would empower you and make you brave. That's why I'm doing this. Ignorant people, when so scared, wouldn't be able to be deceived by this. All of their programs is fueled by fear. I said the open tomb was the open wound. If you think of that tomb and the rock that's rolling to close it, what they're showing you is the door opening and the door lid. The black door opening would be the black hole that eclipses the sun and moon. That's the entrance, the portal, the womb, the gateway of the woman. The door lid would be the sun. All right, that's what blocks the womb. Why? Because it's penetrating it. Whenever it's removed from the womb, life is coming out. Whenever you don't see the hole, it's because it's being occupied. Whenever the womb is opening, that symbolizes the completed act of sex and new life coming from the womb. But here's a question you need to ask all Christians. If this symbolizes the life of Christ, what does the cross symbolize? I just told you that the tomb is the womb, and that the tomb means life because the womb means life. So why do Christians wear a cross? The cross means death. They have convinced us to have a culture of death, and they hid the womb. They gave you male deities that represented death and destruction. They gave you these deities that were soft-spoken and feminine so that you can be appealed to them because that's the attributes of a woman. You ever notice why all of these major world deities like Jesus and Krishna and Allah, they look like gay men? Pull up a picture of Krishna. He looked like Prince, feminine males, and Jesus too. These gods were created to hide the role of the great mother. So for them to do that, they had to take attributes. So you will see Krishna with makeup on. I
was banging with everybody, but I was just
supposed to wear the dress. Women wear gowns.
Yeah.
Women wear robes. Everything that's happened in our lifetime is
and the people I thought wasn't gonna fuck with me no more, goddamn, the ones that stuck with me. The ones that was, they let you know people who be listening and have an open mind and listen to that shit.
Meaning she's coming to reveal to her children
that was
the enemy. We haven't known our enemy, people. They gave you Jesus, and then they gave you a red dragon with a trident. Enemy. They gave you a physical man who looked like a human with a nose and eyes. That was your God. But for your enemy, they gave you a creature that you will never see ever, a red dragon. You will only see that creature in mythology, or like I'm showing you, the red dragon that they gave you for your enemy in Christianity is actually Alpha Draconis. Saying new moon and full moon is like saying hot and cold. But saying black hole is like saying warm, just right, Goldilocks. So it's not hot and cold are polarities, but warmness is the actual pole. Left and right creates center. It creates center. This snake represents the great mother. It moves like a woman. How does a snake move? A snake moves like a sine wave. And the sine wave looks like the snake. The sine wave became the sand wave. Sand is the name of the moon. Series is
I wish I would have took my ass outside for that guy. I was out there for the first goddamn eclipse, but I got distracted on the 23rd. I did not go out and try to get no pictures of them, man. Got distracted by goddamn meek there.
It fits that criteria. The zero acts like the great mother. For example, just like Ma'at, what you put out there in the universe come right back to you. It's like a mirror. That's the same thing with the zero. Think about it. 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 2 is 2. Whatever you give 0, it give it back to you. It mirrors you. You know, you can't escape 0 because the biggest number is infinity, and it ends in zero and begins with zero. Zero is a ball, it's an egg that represents all things. It represents infinity, the 360-degree cycle of all things, the spiral. The snake represents this concept of balance, and it's why it's called the evil one. Remember, everything good for you, everything evil, all of the great knowledge of the ancients and of the mother goddess and the spiritual significance of the woman on our earth have been hidden by fear programs. They've alienated us to who we are and where we are and what we are. So we run around crying, waiting on them to save us, or waiting for some God to come save us on the ground. But at the same time, they're telling you that when that God comes save you, that child is a new beginning, but it's inside of this old mama. The arch above your head is the belly of a pregnant being. And for you to be born out of this belly called earth, you go into the ground or the tomb. The word die, take the E off of it, it's just D-I. And then you can go ahead and put the word fied on the end of it, because when you die, what happens to you is the same thing what happens to a cell being split. What keeps you one is the body. The body is the bond, the bow. If you look up bow,
how they split them embryonic cells, that bullshit.
It's the root word of bond, bow. It's the root word of botany or botany, the study of plants, which ties the humans to nature. So bow is bonding. Bow is a connection. Our connection to the earth is with botany or plants. Your body is your bond with the flesh. It's where the spiritual meets the matter, or the mother. Matter is mother. When you leave the body, you break the bond, you break the covenant. In the body, you're the yin yang. When you leave the body, you become the yin and the yang. The yin yang is one simple symbol with two entities stuck together. But the yin and the yang is when you separate them fishes. Now, when you do that, the only goal of those two objects is to come back to unity. This is the process and journey of our spirit, brothers and sisters, death and rebirth. When you leave this body, you split or splice. And at the same time, you leave this bond or this body, and when you're placed in the tomb, you're placed in the womb. A womb is any dark place that life or consciousness. The egg of the woman would be your new earth. So when you leave this body and you go into your casket or your tomb, that's a symbolic representation of the real womb that you go into. Your tomb is your womb of your mama. So when you being placed in the ground, you being actually placed in the ground. Remember that the woman is the ground. If you go to New York, they call women their earth. When we plant seeds in the dirt, the same thing when we plant them in the woman. So when you being placed in the ground, just like a seed, and you go 6 feet deep, you're a seed and you're gonna grow. And in that process, it's a 9-month process from when you take your last breath. When you breathe out your last breath, the wind that you breathe out is actually your spirit. You know what happens to all of the wind and the clouds on this earth? They make a circuit to the North Pole. All of the wind, all of the clouds, all of the stars, they circuit around the North Pole. And it's because, of course, they're so light. Remember that light is something that shines and it's very bright. It's also something that lacks weight. So when you look at the stars, they shine light, but they also are light. They're weightless. The sun don't have a weight. The moon don't have a weight. The stars don't have a weight. They're literally light, and they are light. So light is light, meaning it's weightless and it shines. You actually become light. Think of Ma'at. She have a feather on her head, and her head is in the middle of her body in between both of the scales. Those scales are sun and moon. That feather is the black hole at the middle of the earth. I feel like when I complete everything I need to complete in this body and deliver my message to the world, there's no need to hold me much longer. So, you know, whatever happened to me, I go ahead and leave my body, continue my next assignments. You see, and this is how you have to think about death and life, like graduating a class and you won't have no fears. You have fears because you have misinformation, but knowledge is what empowers you and make you a fearless individual like Brother Sanchez. You have past, present, and future. In the middle of past and future is what? Present. When you rearrange the words present, you get serpent. The serpent represents the night. Every moment is a result of vibrating sine waves, which is the serpent. Everything moves in waves. It starts from waves and go back to waves, meaning the waters above. Think of baptism. When you go down in that water and come back up, you make a wave in that water and you disturb the surface. That's what happens, an interruption. So in a movie, when you're looking at a movie and it's interrupted by a commercial, what's the root word of commercial? Calm. All the things must calm to a break. They say we're taking a commercial break. You have to come to a break, and all lifetimes are breaking up by deaths. This is where we become renewed. And it's not just you, family. The sun and moon do this too. The sun shine bright all the time. You never see it black out. And then one day, a solar eclipse happened, and the fucking sun just go away. Then it come back. That's what you do. You go in the ground, you disappear, you become dust, and you come back. And I would even argue that you look exactly the same. I'm starting to look at this earth totally different, y'all. They hadn't told us a lot. And you may think what I'm saying is bizarre, but it makes way more sense than the programming you've been given. So this is why the serpent is so divine. And this is why I put this picture up of the serpent to show you that the serpent is on the pole. If you think of the yin yang, the serpent is in the middle. The serpent don't deal with this or that. It stays.
Y'all know the truth don't need no help. I'm gonna I'll be back. I'll probably be back on Unfed too. Unfed 2 or either Pocket Chain TV 2. One on. I'll be back on one of them channels in a few hours. But y'all know the truth don't need no help. Knowing somebody shout out to M Brown, shout out to everybody came through. I just got down tripping off them damn people trying to take them people out that land. With that being said, y'all already know my last words, man. I'm like, boom. You dig? And I'm out.